Welcome to March, my friend. This is the month that I believe we are finally going to feel like we are firmly in the new era. With the sun entering Aries, igniting spring in the Northern Hemisphere, new opportunities bursting forth, renewed hope, a sense of fresh new beginnings. Mercury and Jupiter stationing direct, bringing even more forward momentum. And after a month of quite challenging transits in February, this month brings more planets dancing harmoniously with one another than not. This said, Saturn and Neptune, now conjunct in Aries, will be intensely activated for the very first time in this new era, which means the rubber is hitting the road. The game is on. We could not go back even if we wanted to. So in part one of this video, my friend, I am going to go day by day and share with you the key transits and their dates. You might want to get a pen and paper or your iPad and jot down what will be going on this month, because I'll also be sharing with you in part one tips for how you can best move through these transits. And then in part two, when I do your 12-sign monthly horoscopes, I'm going to let you know where in your natal chart, based on your rising sign, you're going to be feeling these transits, in which house, and listen to your sun and moon signs as well for additional themes and intuitive messages. And I will also be pulling an oracle card for each of the signs as well. If you're new to the channel, I want to extend a warm welcome. I am so glad that you have found us. This is a like-minded community. If you're highly sensitive, you're empathic, and you want to feel empowered through Western tropical astrology, you are in the right place. Take a moment right now to tap that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video and we stay connected. Welcome back. If you have been watching my videos, I am so grateful for your support and your subscribes. Taking one moment to tap that subscribe button makes a world of difference. I'm Betsy Gutting. I am a psychic astrologer, intuitive life coach, and the author of the book, The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling. It's always my goal to empower you and give you tips for navigating the transits. And it's also my passion and dedication to meet you on Zoom for one-on-one astrology readings. So if you could use some extra support right now, or you'd just like to know more about your natal chart, stay tuned till the end of the video. I will share more about my offerings, and I have a free gift for you. I'll tell you more about my free gift at the end as well. But if you would like to receive my weekly inspirational astrology updates, the astrology between videos, you can go to my website now, subscribe for free, and you will get my free gift instant download at the same time. Now, as the month begins, we are still in Pisces season, and the sun will be in Pisces until March 20th. You may feel extra sensitive, highly intuitive, very tapped in, tuned into your intuitive psychic guidance, getting messages from your dreams, from your subconscious mind, from the angels or guides that you work with. So this can be quite an illuminating time, a time that you can really make a quantum leap in your evolutionary soul growth by receiving whatever message that you are meant to receive, including, for example, if there is a subconscious belief that you haven't even been aware of that's been holding you back. I got one of those aha moments the other evening, just as I was falling asleep. We can get those when we are in that in-between state, right? Or when you're first waking up in the morning. And this can be a real emotional breakthrough that changes everything for you. Pisces season is also a great time to take a break, to get into the vortex, activate your imagination, and do your manifesting work. And because we can be more tired during Pisces season, we often really do need extra rest. March will be the perfect month to cultivate the fine art of napping. On March 2nd, Mars, the planet of our motivation, our drive, and what puts us into action, will leave Aquarius and enter Pisces. Mars in Pisces is much more internal. It is a feeling-based energy. In other words, we're not going to do things that will move us forward unless we really feel like it. Because Pisces is a go with the flow, ride with the tide, surrender, let go kind of energy. And so I really want to encourage you, my friend, to be easy on yourself this month. And if you lack your usual strong drive or motivation, that would be completely natural. We are not meant to push the river with Mars and Pisces. Things will happen as they are meant to happen. Mars also rules the physical body, so our energy could definitely be lower. Mars in Pisces gives us a permission slip to stress less and nap more. On March 3rd, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Virgo. Eclipses are turning point moments. They are very important, super activating full moons, lunar eclipses. I have a separate video for you on this eclipse where I do a much deeper dive. But big picture, this eclipse is associated with closing out a cycle or an ending or manifestation. And because it's a south node eclipse, it's connected to karmic endings, relationships that maybe you have done the growth that you were meant to do with a specific person, and those could be phasing out, or you could feel like you need to step back. Boundaries will be very, very important during this eclipse. You will know, I think you are going to get a very bright illumination or revelation if there is something that you are meant to do within a relationship or anything else that could feel karmic to you. We have a party of planets in Pisces standing across from the moon. What does this mean? It means that there are many oppositions going on between the Pisces planets and the Virgo moon. And this means we're going to feel this eclipse more intensely emotionally. You may have already been feeling it. I certainly have. It wants us to release, purge anything that is ready to let go. And we usually feel lunar eclipses more intensely in our relationships as well. I do love that the moon is going to harmonize, the sun and the moon are going to harmonize with Jupiter retrograde. That brings an expansive vibe, or at least some new hope and optimism into the mix. But if you receive a blessing during this eclipse, it may be more internal because Jupiter is retrograde. But for a lot of us, I believe your higher self, your soul, has a message for you for sure during this eclipse. Who will feel this the most intensely? It's happening at 12 degrees, 51 minutes, almost 13. So those of you who have planets or points between 8 and 17 degrees of the mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you will feel this more personally and intensely. You will feel it regardless wherever you have 13 degrees of Virgo in your natal astrology chart. And we are all going to feel this on a collective level. Now, if the eclipse energies are or were challenging or draining for you, depending on when you're watching this video, it's as though our angels and guides are bringing in caring support the day or two after the eclipse, which I love. Venus in Pisces is going to harmonize with Uranus in Taurus. This will be a sextile, and a sextile is a new opportunity, a solution, something tangible coming together. This is Uranus's very last pass in Taurus. I have a separate video for you on that as well. But Venus is all of those lovely themes of beauty, pleasure, comforts, creativity, also the ability to have what you need on a material level, your money, for example, to give yourself the things that make you feel really good. And Uranus in Taurus, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So this could be, if nothing else, a really feel-good transit, but also be open to those epiphanies that Uranus is known for, the unexpected aha moments that wake us up to a possibility we didn't see before. Because remember, Uranus's goal is to free and liberate us, is to get us out of stagnation, to show us new possibilities, new workarounds, which could be part of the aftermath of the eclipse. If something left your life during the eclipse, if you could see that something is winding down, well, then the next day could be a day that you get an awareness of new opportunities, of new possibilities. And on March 5th, we have another lovely transit of the sun, your life force, your vitality, what your human self really desires and has the motivation to create. The sun will trine Jupiter. A trine is the easiest aspect that we can have. It is the wind filling up your sails, something landing in your lap. Really, there is nothing we have to do with trine energy except enjoy it and maybe throw out the net and see what comes back in. Having a clear intention for what you want to receive is always a good idea, right? But Sun trine Jupiter retrograde, this could be something going your way. On March 6th, Venus is going to enter the sign of fiery Aries, and Venus in Aries is not in her strength. Why is this? Because Venus is a lover, and in Aries energy, we are often striving. We sometimes are fighting for what it is that we want. It's a fierce energy, Aries. Think of the archetype of Venus, Aphrodite. She's there posing, she's like the Empress. She is open to receiving. Whereas in Aries energy, we often feel like we've got to go after it. If we're going to get it, if we're going to create it, if some success is going to happen for us, we have to make it happen. That's why Venus and Aries energy are not considered as strong. However, Venus in Aries is fabulous for getting a clear sense of what your heart most wants, especially if it's an independent kind of endeavor. If you really want more freedom in your life, this is a great energy for doing something your way, on your own, in your own time, without having to wait for anyone. The only thing to keep in mind with Venus and Aries is that when it comes to love, because Venus does rule love and relationships, Aries is the, as we say, fast burn, falling in love very quickly and then moving into a relationship so fast, often before you even know anything about the person. And as a good friend of mine used to say, when you go that fast, you can end up in a heap. So if you meet someone, my friend, while Venus is in Aries, I highly encourage you to take it slowly. And that's true for any kind of relationship, whether it's a friendship or a potential business partnership, same thing. Even though in Aries energy, we often feel this sense of urgency, like we're behind or we've got to hurry up or we get this FOMO. If I don't jump on this, I'm going to miss the boat. That is rarely true. I'm calling March 7th and 8th power days. March 7th, the sun will conjoin Mercury retrograde. We call this a Mercury cazimi. This is when the sun infuses its light into Mercury's energy, and this means we can get crystal clarity on something. So perfect for a Mercury retrograde, right? And also, if you weren't aware, during a Mercury retrograde, we are very intuitive. Our intuitive powers can be quite enhanced. In fact, we can be moving through our lives so intuitively that is often why we make typos and skip things that we would normally get if our analytical mind, if our logical mind was very sharp. So during this Mercury cazimi, in which Mercury is retrograde, it is infused with solar energy. It's getting a lovely reset. You could feel a sense of renewal. You could feel like you've been purified. And this is a really good time to be intending to receive answers or a breakthrough or whatever it is you feel you need in terms of clarity. Now, just because March 7th is a power day doesn't mean it is necessarily going to be easy. And I say this because Venus, the planet of love, money, beauty, pleasure, comforts, relationships, Venus will be conjunct Neptune in Aries. This is the first activation of Neptune since Saturn and Neptune came together at that 0 point, officially beginning the new era. Venus conjunct Neptune often does involve a relationship, often does involve some sort of romance or something that is very connected to your heart. Whatever it is that you are truly wanting to make real in your life right now, because we want to remember, after all, that Saturn and Neptune conjunct at that 0 point initiated energetically making a new dream real, a new vision. When Venus makes a conjunction to Neptune, something can happen that feels out of this world miraculous. Or you can realize that something that you thought was on the up and up actually isn't. As we say, the rose-colored glasses come off. We feel deflated, or we feel disillusioned, or what we thought was real was actually just a fantasy. Now, this is not going to happen for everyone, even those of you who have planets or points at the very early degrees of Aries or the other cardinal signs, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn. When Venus makes a conjunction to Neptune, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to feel disappointed or that you were deceived somehow. But it is a good time to check in with yourself and in with another person if they are involved, and just to be aware of how much of my energy is attached to a fantasy and how much is attached to a grounded, clear, centered reality. Now, the next day on March 8th, if we have not yet come down to earth with our dream or that new person that you just met, or a new possibility or idea that has you smitten, well, on March 8th, that is likely to happen. And that is because Venus, after coming together with Neptune, is going to come together with Saturn. And Venus and Saturn are very different energies. Saturn is, as we say, the reality check. Saturn is also connected to karma. So this could be one of those, I see the truth now. And of course, the truth will set us free, even if it's momentarily uncomfortable. But the light of Venus coming together with Saturn is that Saturn represents a long-term sustainable plan, goal, or foundation. So Venus can actually be support or love or money, helping you to create that solid foundation. And this would be a good day to talk to a mentor, a wise teacher, an elder, someone that you feel can advise you or give you information or resources that you need. And what I love about this day, March 8th, is that Mercury, the planet of communication, our emails, our conversations, news and information, also divine downloads, Mercury is going to make a beautiful trine to Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. So this tends to be, a trine like this tends to be good news that makes us feel more expanded. And because Jupiter is retrograde, it could be a moment of illumination. It could be a very personal process that you're having where you get that light bulb moment and it makes you feel, Jupiter in Cancer, more secure, more nurtured, more well cared for. That is the goal. And Jupiter in Cancer is often connected to home, family, or the mother line. Now, on March 10th, Jupiter is going to station direct, and I am excited for this one. Why? Because Jupiter in Cancer, having been retrograde for 4 months since November 11th, as much as we appreciate all of those inner expansive moments, those revelations, as I've been talking about, as much as those can be quite growthful, on a human level, we like our stuff, right? We like it when things go our way, tangibly and practically speaking, and that's Jupiter direct. Jupiter direct brings in the blessings that are more external, the things that make this human life more comfortable, that make it better, or that make us feel like we are learning and growing and expanding in a way that is truly exciting. And these blessings are changing or up-leveling, upgrading our life in a measurable way. I do want to say that Jupiter, once it stations direct, it's going to take some time. It's going to need a warm up. It's going to take some time before it moves even 1 degree. It's going to move ever so slowly at 15 degrees for 3 weeks until it gets to 16 on April 4th. So keep that in mind. We may need to be a little bit patient as Jupiter comes out of hibernation. On March 15th, Mercury, the divine messenger, is going to make a conjunction to highly intuitive Mars and Pisces. So again, Mercury, divine downloads, information, communication, conversations, new information that helps you make a plan, that helps motivate you to take action. That's Mars. And you might find yourself making a decision that then you take action on once Mercury turns direct later this month. On March 18th, we are going to have a new moon in Pisces. The new moon is the beginning of a manifestational cycle, a new vision, a new beginning. New moons are dark moons, so they're reflective times. We are going inward. We are getting a sense of what do we want, desire, need most in our life going forward. And in Pisces, we are highly sensitive. We're super psychic. We often get messages through our dreams, through conversations, or, in our journaling, in our automatic writing. Your imagination will be quite activated during this new moon, most likely. The creative spark can be renewed. It is a beautiful, beautiful new moon for creating anything, for manifesting. And what I love about this new moon is that the sun and the moon together, because during a new moon, they're always together in the same sign, the sun and the moon in Pisces are going to make a lovely sextile, a new opportunity, a solution, something tangible working out for you. They are going to come together and sextile Uranus in Taurus. And when we have a sextile to Uranus, This is an unexpected positive breakthrough, often an unexpected aha moment, something that is different from what, your usual routine. This is a great time during this new moon to be really pay attention to any inspirations that you get and follow through on them. If somebody asks you out to do something that you don't normally do, but it feels exciting to you, or it feels like, yeah, I really need a change, that's what this moon is saying. It is saying it is time for a change. It's time to do things differently, to change things up. And of course, we can ask for a breakthrough. We can intend an epiphany. We can ask to be shown a different way. I will do a separate video for you on this Pisces new moon with a much deeper dive, because I have a lot more I could share with you than I can do in these monthly astrology videos. But who will most feel this Pisces new moon? It is happening at 28 degrees, almost 29 degrees. So those of you who have planets or points between 24 and 29 degrees of the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you will feel this new moon most personally and intensely. Also, those of you who have planets or points between 0 and 2 degrees of the fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, or Taurus, you will also feel it more intensely. And of course, like all new and full moons, we feel them collectively, and you'll feel it in your chart, at least the themes of it, my friend. You will feel those themes wherever you have 28, 29 degrees of Pisces in your natal astrology chart. And this is one of the transits that I will be sharing with you in your 12-sign monthly horoscopes. On March 20th, the sun will leave Pisces and enter bold, inspired, just say yes, risk-taking Aries. Aries season will begin, and we'll also have the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere and the fall equinox in the southern hemisphere. Because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, it jumpstarts the season of new life, new growth. This could be the igniting of the fire in your belly, my friend, that you have been waiting for since the end of last year or the beginning of 2026. Aries encourages us to go into new territory, to take risks, to leap and the net will appear. So you will very likely, many of you, get a fresh idea, feel invigorated to make plans for doing something fun, if nothing else. But Aries is also pretty ambitious. So often this is pioneering something, blazing a new trail, taking inspired action. Aries is known for the hero's journey. I don't know how I am going to succeed or whether I will succeed at whatever I'm doing, but I just have to do it anyway. And it's leadership energy as well. So you could feel like you are going to lead the charge on something, especially if no one else is stepping up. If it means a lot to you, if you are inspired, if you are ready to take on a challenge, you may be the one. Whatever it is may have your name on it. You may be the one that is being called. Auspiciously, on the same day that the sun enters Aries, Mercury will station direct. We now have the green light to launch that something new, to sign a contract, make the big purchase maybe that you've been holding off on, or anything else that you've been waiting for. We are now much more likely with Mercury direct to see things as they are. And if you're watching this video at the beginning of March, between now and Mercury direct on March 20th is a really good time to take care of anything that you've been procrastinating on, anything that needs fixing, anything that needs clearing out. This is the time to do so that on March 21st, you can just soar forward. Just after Mercury turns direct and we have the spring equinox on March 21st, Mars in Pisces will trine Jupiter in Cancer. I mean, how perfect is that? Right after the Mercury retrograde, Mars, the planet of action and drive and mojo, is expanded by Jupiter, which is also direct now. So I hope on this day, my friend, you feel the wind filling up your sails. I hope that there is something lovely that falls in your lap, but whatever transpires, because it's Mars and Pisces is connected to divine magical synchronicities. Follow your intuitive nudges, surrender to the flow. Whatever happens, it is likely to feel meant to be. And by the way, my friend, you could feel these transits that I'm going through a day before or a day after. They don't necessarily happen on the exact day that I am speaking about. Now, on March 22nd, the sun is going to make a conjunction to Neptune. So, once again, this is another activation of Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries, representing the new era, the new dream that you are wanting to make real. The sun conjunct Neptune, the sun being your life force, your vitality, your heart's desire, what you identify with. It's often very connected with your identity, a role that you play, a commitment, what you see as your purpose. Conjunct Neptune, that is the dream or vision inspiring me in Aries. So you could on this day feel that much more fired up. And 3 days later, on March 25th, the sun is going to make a conjunction to Saturn. So that dream that your heart really wants, when the sun makes a conjunction to Saturn, you could realize, okay, this is the work that is going to be involved. This is what it's going to take to make my vision real. And I have to say, it's Saturn, so it could feel a little bit heavy, especially if you've been in a little bit of the fantasy or the dream of what you want to create, the ideal, especially if your mind, if your heart has been there and now the sun is shining its light on Saturn, it could feel a bit of a coming down to earth with a thud. But just as I was talking about with Venus conjunct Saturn, this can bring a wise teacher or a mentor or some sort of support that you need to the forefront. And the sun with Saturn can help you to create the structure, the resources, the plan, the solid foundation underneath the dream can help you to begin to build that. I love that on the same day, the sun is also going to make a harmonious aspect to Pluto because Pluto is our passion. When it's being harmoniously activated, this is not a hard Pluto transit. That's a whole different story. But when Pluto is receiving a sextile from the sun, think of the life force energy of the sun. When the sun infuses its energy into Pluto by a sextile, which can bring a solution or an opportunity, you could feel so over the top passionate, so empowered, so ready to take something on that feels challenging or difficult, that you could really feel inspired and lit up around this time. Now, with the sun talking to both Saturn and Pluto on the same day, something karmic could absolutely transpire. So be sure, I don't want to get too bossy, but remember your boundaries. That's what I'll say. Remember your boundaries. And also, if what is being offered to you, if it's an offer, if it's an opportunity, if what is coming to you, and also with sextiles, I forgot to say, we have to take some sort of initiative. We have to make the call. We have to take a step. We have to let the universe know that we are a willing partner in this co-creation. But if something is being offered to you, my friend, and you are at all questioning it, be aware of that because with Pluto, we are meant to be passionate about something. And if you're not, it's not it. Be willing to pass up good enough for great. And finally, on March 30th, Venus will enter sensual earth sign Taurus. I absolutely love Venus in Taurus. First of all, Taurus is ruled by Venus. This is her home sign. She loves being here. Venus in Taurus is us activating all of our senses, basking in beauty, taking in the scents, savoring delicious food, feeling the sun on our skin if we're lucky enough to be somewhere where the sun is warm enough to go outside. If not, you can envision, sense, and feel the sun on your skin. Listening to, moving to music that really touches your heart. Venus in Taurus is the celebration of being on this earth in a physical body. Appreciating the good life, whatever the good life is for you, it's different for all of us. Venus also in Taurus tends to bring more stability in love, relationships, and finances. So what is not to love? Oh, and also a great time to plant something, Venus in Taurus, connected to the earth, such as herbs, vegetables, or flowers. So big picture, my friend, the month of March is a month to remember your power. Remember who you are. That you came here, as Ms. Frizzle on the Magic School Bus so famously said, to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. And if you can ride this month on the courageous, unstoppable energy of Aries, you could feel the fire relit in your belly, along with a renewed sense of enthusiasm and aliveness. Because as Howard Thurman says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what brings you more alive, because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And as Michael Bernard Beckwith reminds us, something wonderful is always on the verge of happening. Okay, my beautiful friend, let's do your 12-sign monthly horoscopes now. Listen to your rising sign to find out where in your natal astrology chart these transits are happening for you and then what the themes will be, but also your sun and moon signs will give you additional themes and intuitive messages that may also apply to your month. And we're going to start with Aries because beautiful Aries, it is almost your season when we get to the spring equinox, March 20th, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, and the autumn equinox for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. Happy, happy birthday to all of you beautiful Aries friends. I hope you have the most beautiful birthday. Now, Aries, the month begins with a Virgo lunar eclipse on March 3rd. Right out of the gate, we have an intense eclipse that is going to represent an ending or completion. A cycle is coming full circle. You can go back to January of 2025. That's when we first had the nodes of the moon in Pisces and Virgo. And we will have a couple more eclipses after this one in Pisces and Virgo. But this is the last eclipse in which the South Node is going to be conjunct a lunar eclipse on this axis, and that makes it quite significant. The South Node represents karma. I have a separate video for you on this important eclipse, so I encourage you to watch that. But in a nutshell, for the purposes of your monthly reading, know that you will likely have something come up for you that has to do with your daily work, your routines, your schedules, your health and wellness on all levels, which can be emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. Your lifestyle, you could be asking, do I want the same lifestyle? You could be really wanting more freedom in your life, Aries. After all, freedom is very, very important to you. Freedom, passion, inspiration. These are all very important things to you, beautiful Aries. So, and pets fall here too. This is your sixth house. And so if it's not that you're changing a job, or if it's not that you are really changing something up in your health or wellness, and like I said, that could have to do with a routine such as working out, how you exercise, how you eat, it can be any of those things. But if you are not, making a big change, which often eclipses either motivate us to do, or something just happens that, the universe is bringing about, fated or karmic. If not that, you could be changing how you do your work. There could be something in your life that just isn't sustainable for you anymore. You could be spending a lot of time on something and realizing you're overworking. Something isn't good for your health the way you're doing it. You get the idea. So it can be just our approach to that area that we could be strongly nudged by an eclipse, because eclipses pick us up and put us down where we're meant to be, metaphorically or literally, right? Some of you could be leaving a job. You could be starting your own business. You could be retiring. You could be thinking of lots of different ways that you could do your life. That would be very natural for this Virgo lunar eclipse. Now, on March 10th, Jupiter is going to station direct, and I am personally quite happy about this, Aries. I think anybody who loves the feeling of Jupiter and who doesn't, the Jupiter expands what it touches. Sometimes it can expand negative things too, that is true. But Jupiter in Cancer in general makes us feel more emotionally secure when it brings us blessings, good fortune, luck, and so on. And when it is direct, which is about to be on March 10th, we feel those blessings more externally, not so much internally. Before, or over the last 4 months, they could have felt very personal to you, things that were happening as in revelations or learning, expanding from the inside out. With Jupiter direct, it's more expanding in terms of receiving the blessings that we can touch and feel, the things that our human selves really want. So Jupiter direct is a great thing. And where is it happening for you? In your fourth house of roots, belonging, your home, your family, your relationships to family members, childhood conditioning, ancestral healing, healing the mother line. So while Jupiter was stationed retrograde, for you, you could have had some sort of healing, or you could have done some inner child work, some shadow work. You could have realized something from your childhood or from past lifetimes, something to do with home, family, or a sense of belonging, or, you know, how rooted you feel or how rooted you don't feel. And now that Jupiter is direct, you could be ready to make a change in your home. You could be ready to make a change in your family. That change could be happening already. Some of you could be moving. Some of you could be remodeling. You could be building a new house. I mean, Jupiter transits in the fourth house usually bring wonderful blessings. Maybe some of you had a child, for example, or, you know, just something has happened or is about to happen in your life that is really going to make you feel, you know, all the love vibes that we can feel, in the sense of, I'm where I'm meant to be. I feel like I belong here. I feel like this is really just feeling loved and supported. That's Jupiter in Cancer. That's what we want in our fourth house, to make your home more of a sanctuary as well. Now, Aries, we are going to have a new moon, as we do every month. And this month for you, it will be in Pisces, and that is your 12th house. New moons are always new beginnings. They're always a vision. They're always the beginning of a manifestational cycle. And so in your 12th house, that is a very witchy place to have your new moon, beautiful Aries, because it is the ethereal realms. It is not this of this world, the 12th house. It's your mystical self, spiritual awakening. If you do any channeling, if you do any automatic writing, I think we're all channelers in our own way. We're all receiving messages from the divine, often even when we don't know it, that we are. But when we do know that we are, they can be quite incredibly moving, right? They can be one of those instances, as we say, that changes everything. We change our perspective. We wake up. You know, this is the house of things coming to light that you didn't see before, that open you up to seeing with new eyes. So also, you could, with this new moon, be reprogramming your subconscious mind in some way, understanding that you have a narrative or a story about your life or something that's happened to you in your past. You could be releasing the past, changing the way you think about something, or releasing a self-sabotaging behavior such as self-doubt, procrastination, not being willing to go for something because you're afraid that it may turn out the way something did before, that it might fail, for example. Aries, you're a big risk taker. You usually embrace challenges, no problem. You love doing new things. You love stretching yourself. But what I have found and what I've noticed with clients is that it can happen that the older we get, some of you who may be older, we can be less inspired to take big risks than we were when we were younger. And that's understandable. We don't want to lose our stuff, right? We worked hard for whatever we've created, most of us, and we're less open to taking a risk that may not pan out. But, you know, there's such a thing as a calculated risk too. And like I said, Aries, risk taking is not usually an issue for you. Now, Aries, after that new moon, the sun is going to enter your sign. This is the spring equinox, of course. You know this well, Aries. This is a brand new beginning for a lot of you, or a fresh start, or feeling rebirthed, feeling like you are being revitalized. And it happens in your first house of roles and your identity, your appearance, your vitality. Now, Aries, especially if you have planets or points in the very early degrees of your sign, you're going to feel this month really intensely for all the reasons I talk about in part 1 of this video, where I go through the transits, because Saturn and Neptune will be activated by some of the personal planets. So you definitely want to watch that if you haven't already. But just know that when the sun enters your sign, and we go through this month of March and into April, with this, when the sun is in your sign, you could feel like you are really coming out of hibernation, like you are really, the fire has really been lit in your belly. I hope that's true for you. That's an amazing feeling, Aries. with the sun in your sign, just know that this is a great time to be asking, am I happy in my relationships? Am I happy with the roles that I have taken on? Am I happy with my commitments? Do I want to make any changes in, whatever I call myself, my title, my whatever I am, I make promises about, right? Because that's commitments and that's our identity. Our identity is very connected to the things that we care about, but have your values shifted? Is there anything that you want to change? With the sun in your sign, it's a great time to do it. And on the same day that the sun enters your sign, Mercury is going to shift into direct motion in Pisces. This will happen in your 12th house. As I said, it is the ethereal realms. It's not of this world. Mercury in your 12th house, having transited here, I wonder if you've had some intense dreams. I wonder if you've gotten some downloads that have been quite moving for you or surprising for you, awakening in some way. Because when we have a 12th house transit of Mercury, that's often when we do see where we could change our thinking. We could change a self-sabotaging behavior, or maybe we're stuck in a fear. Maybe we're afraid to move forward in something because we're afraid, like I said earlier, that it's going to turn out differently than we really want it to. And with Mercury retrograde in your 12th house, I bet you've made some real progress. If there's been anything like that you've needed to assess or reassess. And now you're ready for the sun to move into your sign. So we are off and running. So beautiful Aries, I hope that you are ready for your season. I know, how could you not be? But this has been quite a beginning of 2026, this being such a life-changing year for a lot of people, including you, Aries, especially you with Neptune and Saturn in your sign. So I am shuffling for you. Let us see what the cards have to say for you. What is your Saturn conjunct Neptune dream? Do you have a new dream, a new vision, a new plan, a new identity, a new role? Some of you might be retiring. Some of you might be taking a sabbatical. Some of you might be starting your own business. You might be, I'm getting an image of someone deconstructing their house, demolishing something so they can build something else. That could be a metaphor, of course, or that could be an actual construction project that some of you are engaged in. So let us see, beautiful Aries, what the cards have to say for you for your birthday season, for your month of March. Aries, your card is finding sanctuary, opening to your spiritual source. I'm not surprised when we have a new moon in your 12th house and Mercury turning direct in your 12th house and retrograde a lot of this month in your 12th house. It's a lot of 12th house energy, and here we are, right? We're up in the ethers. It's not of this world. This is saying this is a time to find sanctuary within yourself and reconnect to your wisdom. Open up to your spiritual source. There is a treasure there for you, Aries. There is something that, I'm just feeling into this, there is something that it just feels very nourishing. It feels stabilizing. And it feels like something that you need to feel safer and more ready to open up to the wild blue yonder, as we say, to open up to a new horizon and a new adventure with your Saturn Neptune conjunction Aries dream. So beautiful Aries, if anything I shared resonates and you want to share in the comments, I love hearing from you. Pisces, hello beautiful Pisces. Pisces, happy birthday to those of you with March birthdays. As the month begins, the sun is still in your sign. We are still in your season until the 20th of the month. So a good part of this month, Pisces, with the sun transiting your first house of identity, roles, vitality, appearance, you could feel this month a sense of rebirth, especially because Venus will also be here until the 6th. Mercury and Mars will also move into your sign this month. And this is going to make you very aware, I feel, of your desires. It may also make you feel more like you can advocate for yourself. You can stand up for yourself. You may feel more willing to go out on a limb, so to speak, or to, ask for what you want or need with people that you normally might hold back a little bit from doing so. But with so much energy, Pisces, in your first house, this is, as trite as it sounds, this is your time to shine. It really is. And on the 3rd of the month, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Virgo across from your sign. But we'll have so many planets in your sign while this lunar eclipse is happening. So that's an opposition between those planets and your energy. And that means that something is going on in one or more of your relationships. Now, it doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be a breakup necessarily. It doesn't have to be even a proposal or something coming together. It can be any of those things. But at the very least, I believe for you, you have quite an awareness with the lunar eclipse in your 7th house. You have an awareness of your pattern or dynamic in relationships, whether it is very positive and has evolved, or it is something that you want to shift, whatever it is. I think you're going to be very aware of it during this eclipse. It's an important eclipse. It's conjunct the south node of karma. Karmic and fated events or moments or soul contracts that have expired are going to be part of this eclipse for some people. It's an important eclipse for you, Pisces, and I have a separate video for you on that eclipse, so I encourage you to watch it if you haven't already. Pisces, Jupiter is going to turn direct in Cancer, and this energy trines your energy. Is so lovely for you in your 5th house of children, love, romance, creativity. Creative projects will be highlighted for you, and you may feel a new zest for life this month with Jupiter going direct, especially if it makes connections to any of your planets or points. Now that it's direct, you could now feel like you are finally getting some tangible blessing or good luck or something that is, the tide is turning in your favor if it felt like it hasn't been. Then Pisces, we have a new moon in your sign. Of course, new moons are always fresh starts. They always encourage us to create a new vision, to, at the very least, set intentions for the next cycle of manifesting. And your new moon is happening, of course, it's in your sign. It's the house of you. It's the house of your identity, your roles, your vitality, your appearance. So, Pisces, what do you want is the question. I mean, that's really the question for you all month, is what does your heart most want? Because a new moon in your first house, it's happening for you very soon and asking you, are you happy with the roles that you play in this earthly life? Are you happy with whatever you're committed to? Are you happy with how you spend your time, how you use your energy? This is the time to make a change if you want to make a change, if you want to make any sort of shift in your energy, like how vital you feel. If you want to change something with your appearance or with your wardrobe, or if you feel like you need time away, you feel like you need some sort of rejuvenation, if you need a change in a relationship. Any of these things could be up for you, and this is the time to be letting the universe know, your higher self, your soul, your guides, your angels, what your intentions are. And then Pisces, on March 20th, the sun will leave your sign and it will enter Aries. On the same day, Mercury is going to turn direct in Pisces. This is really good news for you because Mercury's been retrograde in your sign. I don't know if you felt it. It's going to be different for everyone, the degree to which they have felt this. But usually when we have Mercury retrograde transiting through our sign, we do feel it, especially when it makes a conjunction to any of our planets or points in our sign. And so on the 20th, it will station direct. We can feel it more intensely on that day, I have to say that. But because it's your first house, you could feel like there's finally some momentum. I can finally, whatever it is you want to do. If you want to start a business, if you are changing one of your roles, if you're letting go of something, if you're saying yes to something, if you want to deepen a relationship, if you want to propose to someone or accept a proposal, and that could be in business or in your professional life, whatever it is for you. Some of you may want to try and get pregnant, or maybe you are changing something that affects your health and your vitality, because that's the first house as well. But whatever it is, you will have new momentum here, beautiful Pisces. So let us see now. Let me shuffle for you. And let us see what the cards have to say for you, Pisces. I wonder how it feels for you now that Saturn and Neptune are no longer in your sign. They will not be back in your sign for a very long time. I wonder how it feels for you to have that transit of both Saturn and Neptune, those transits be over for you, over and done. I bet for a lot of you that feels like you are in a new chapter. Do you feel like you're in a new chapter? I hope that you do. Okay, so let us, and I'm not saying it was all bad for all of you by any means. We all experience these transits differently, but I know it was quite draining. And for some people, very difficult. Neptune in your sign can take, part of us dissolves when we have a Neptune transit, a self that we no longer need, but that doesn't make it any easier for our human selves to adapt to what's going on. So I know that that's hard. So let's see, that's way in your past now, way in your past now, Pisces. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. Pisces for March. Reaching your destination, your light is shining brightly. I love this card. You know what I love about this card? I always see this as an eclipse. And we are going to have a lunar eclipse. It looks more like a solar eclipse, but that's okay. We did have that solar eclipse in Aquarius in case anything significant happened for you then that this card might bring up for you. But there's so much magic here. The bubbles, which could also be seen as orbs, right? And this kind of eclipse energy. And then within the eclipse is this dream. What did you intend if you intended anything for the solar eclipse in Aquarius? That was 2 weeks before this March 3rd lunar eclipse, because that is your destination. And this says you will reach your destination. If you want to claim this, Pisces, that you're reaching your destination, your light is shining brightly, let us know in the comments below. Aquarius. Hello, beautiful Aquarius. Aquarius. On March 3rd, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Virgo. This is an important eclipse. It is the end of a cycle. Always a lunar eclipse is the end of a cycle, but this one in particular, for reasons that I described that I'm not going to go into here, but I describe in my deeper diving separate video on this Virgo lunar eclipse. This is a very important eclipse. It is closing out a bigger cycle of the lunar nodes in Pisces and Virgo, which happened January of 2025. Now, it's happening for you in your 8th house of emotional attachments, power and control, death and rebirth, transformation. On a practical level, this 8th house is connected to shared resources, money, time, energy with other people in business or in your romantic life or in your any kind of important relationship in which you share resources, or emotional and sexual intimacy, investments, savings, nest eggs, debts, loans, taxes, emotional codependency sometimes. So you get the idea. This is both a financial and a partnership house. And that means that because it's a lunar eclipse representing endings, closing something out, a graduation moment, or a full circle manifestation, often it's some sort of ending. There's something in finances, especially long term, or having to do with taxes, or having to do with a close relationship, or how you share money or other resources. There's something going on during this lunar eclipse for you with these themes. Now, we all feel these eclipses to different degrees. Some of you may just notice this theme is, going on in your life, like you're doing your taxes, for example, if this isn't affecting you intensely. But I talk about who will feel this eclipse most intensely in part 1 of this video and in my separate video. Aquarius. This eclipse is getting you ready for more freedom, emotional freedom especially, but you may go through a transformation first. And for those of you who are going through any sort of dividing up of resources, if you are going through a divorce, for example, or you sold a business, or you're selling a business, or you are, deep in some sort of financial dealings, or you are going through your own maybe sexual healing or some sort of awakening, within yourself emotionally or sexually, or you are releasing a codependent pattern with somebody, then you could feel this eclipse in that way as well. Aquarius, Jupiter is going to turn direct in Cancer, which I absolutely love. One of my favorite transits of this month. Why? Because then we start to feel the tangible blessings of Jupiter, and Jupiter brings expansion, luck, good fortune, all those wonderful things that our human selves really want. And this is happening in your 6th house of daily work, wellness, your health on all levels, emotional, physical, spiritual, mental, your routines, your lifestyle, and your pets. When Jupiter transits our 6th house and it is direct, often that's when we will get a new job or we'll get a promotion or we will realize that we, can retire, or we'll, be inspired to maybe work in a different country, or we will, have the energy that we didn't have before to get stronger, to change our workout routine. We'll have a lot of blessings that come that support our health and wellness, or we'll be able to change our lifestyle if we've been wanting to do that. So obviously a lot of different ways this could happen. You could get a pet, or you could have something really wonderful happen with a pet during this time. It will play out differently for everyone, of course, but those are some things that you could experience. The new moon for this month, Pisces, is happening in your 2nd house of material security, earned income, self-worth, deserving, and self-reliance. New moons are new beginnings, new visions, fresh starts, new manifestational cycles. So with a new moon here in your 2nd house, the question is, are you feeling good and solid and steady with whatever supports you materially? Or do you want to make a change? Do you have a new vision for earned income, side gigs, if you want to start something like that? Do you feel worthy and deserving of what your heart most wants? Do you feel like you are self-reliant? You get the idea. All of these themes are coming up. New moons are dark moons, and they are a time for us to really tune in to intentions that are important for us to set to bring about for you more security, more sense of I deserve what my heart most wants. Aquarius, the sun is going to enter Aries. We're going to have the spring equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere, the fall if you are in the southern hemisphere, on March 20th. And this will be happening in your 3rd house of mindset, communication, your local environment, your siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, landlords, neighbors, all the people that you see regularly, or people that you bump into haphazardly, as we say, randomly, as we say. We know there's nothing random in this universe, right? This is when we can have amazing synchronicities, magical moments that happen that are completely unexpected, that happen when we're just talking to someone waiting in line for a coffee, or, at a yoga class before the class starts, that kind of thing. So when the sun transits your sign, Aquarius, that is a really good time to be out and about if you want to have some of those magical moments. Who doesn't? If you want to have those kinds of experiences. Also a really good time to take any sort of short trip, like a long weekend or a day trip, to start a new website, or revise your website, which is a great thing to do before Mercury goes direct, which I'll talk about in a moment. Any kind of writing you want to do, freelance work. This is really the house of kind of doing the everyday things that help us to build that foundation for our learning, for our growth, for our communication. And with the sun here, if you want to change your environment, whether it's where you live, where you work, you want to change something in your daily routine, like you want to change where you work out, or you want to start going to a yoga studio, or you want to, change where you get your hair done, if you do any of those kinds of things, this is a really good time to do it with the sun here. And of course, Saturn and Neptune are transiting this house for you, Aquarius, asking you, what is the new dream that you are wanting to make real? This is the month that the rubber hits the road because of the transits that are activating Saturn and Neptune that I talk about in part 1 of this video, where I go day by day through the individual transits. So of course, I encourage you to watch that if you're interested in getting more on this. And then on the same day that the sun enters Aries, Mercury will go direct in Pisces, and this is happening in your 2nd house of material security, earned income, self-worth, deserving, and self-reliance. Like I talked about before, that's where the new moon is happening. So If things have been a little wonky for you in this area, especially having to do with money, if you like money, it can, Mercury going retrograde, what it really wants us to do is to think about, does anything need changing in this area of my life? So if you've done that, Aquarius, then you've done the work that Mercury retrograde wanted you to do. Often we get some sort of revelation, some sort of aha moment during a Mercury retrograde that makes us realize there's something that we want to change in this area. And if there is, this is a good time to do it. If you've been wanting to launch anything, if you've been wanting to apply for a job or ask for a promotion or do something that's going to increase your income or your sense of self-worth or deserving, then this would be a good time to do it now that Mercury is direct. Beautiful Aquarius. So let us see what the cards have to say for you for your month of March. How are you feeling this month? I think that, one of the things I love about Aries energy for you, Aquarius, is that it sextiles your energy, and it's probably going to make you get out a little bit more, if not that, if that's what you want. I know all Aquarians are different. Some really enjoy being social, some not as much. But group activities, often Aquarians do like to do some sort of community, at least have some sort of community connection. This is a good month for that. And if you have felt like you've been hibernating during the winter and you're ready to, make more effort with expanding yourself in some way, this is a good month for that as well. The sextiles bring opportunities and solutions. They bring tangible, positive outcomes, and you're getting that with the Aries energy. So that's great news. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Aquarius. We have some nice sextiles to Pluto in your signs too, which I talk about in part 1 of this video. Okay, Aquarius, I love it. Embracing enthusiasm. Shout to the heavens with happiness. Shout to the heavens with happiness. Her words are transforming not only herself, but other people. Some of you may be channeling or sharing information or new discoveries that you've made or new information that you're getting that is not just transforming you, but is having a strong positive impact on others as well. So don't hold back in sharing your enthusiasm with whatever you're excited about, beautiful Aquarius. And if you want to leave me a comment, if any of this resonates and you want to share, I would love to hear. Capricorn. Hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, your month of March begins with the lunar eclipse in Virgo happening in your 9th house of expansion. It trines your energy, this eclipse, which is quite lovely. This is the house of any kind of new adventure, new horizons, long distance travel, anything that will expand you, new scenery, new coursework that you could take. Some of you could be ending coursework. You could be ending a degree program. You could be graduating from something, whether it's a certification program or you're getting an actual, master's or a PhD or something like that. Some of you could be going through that as well. This house encourages us to learn new languages or cultures if we're interested in that, to go on a quest or, a spiritual retreat, or to seek answers through metaphysical modalities. It's the house of where we can be awakened spiritually through learning and teaching and growth. Podcasting, broadcasting, publishing. Some of you could be publishing a book. A lunar eclipse is something that comes into closure oftentimes. So it could be that you've been working really hard on something and now you're seeing the fruits of your labor. Now you are publishing it. Now you are putting that song out there. Or if you have been involved in a lawsuit, you've been involved in anything that is connected to government rules or restrictions or trying to get a visa, for example, any of that could be formalizing and completing now as well, which would be great news for some of you. Capricorn, Jupiter in Cancer, which is across from you on the zodiac wheel. It's across from your 1st house in your 7th house, is going to station direct. And I believe this is great news. I love Jupiter. energy, and I love that it's stationing direct for that reason, because a lot of the blessings that you could have experienced in the last 4 months since Jupiter went retrograde could have been quite internal. It's where we expand from the inside out, and on a human level, we like it when we get the blessings that we can, hold in our hand, the notifications, the things that happen that really up level our lives, that are, they're tangible. There's something that we can touch and feel and see, and you get the idea. So Jupiter transiting your 7th house of committed partnerships. This is beautiful for any existing business relationship, romantic relationship, marriage, or anything else that is happening for you in your life. Also, Jupiter in the 7th house can bring in new relationships. It can also be a great time to propose to someone. It can be a great time to get married with Jupiter transiting your 7th house. So there's nothing not to love, in my view, about Jupiter turning direct. Capricorn, the new moon this month is going to happen in Pisces in your 3rd house. If you notice, the Virgo lunar eclipse is trining your energy. The new moon in Pisces is sextiling your energy. So both the new and the full moon are harmonizing with you. That's really lovely for your month. The Pisces new moon in your 3rd house of mindset, communication, local environment, your neighborhood, your siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, your landlords, all the people that you see regularly, also your devices, your cars, short trips, learning growth, websites, writing, freelance work. A new moon here is supporting any of those things. It's supporting your ability to create what you desire with cooperation from others. That's the big picture. I call this house the house of moving and shaking, but the big picture of this house is it's often where we are in some way interacting with other people, whether you call it networking, whether you are going to, group meetings, whether you're meeting people in coffee shops, having lunch with people, having those conversations that happen on the fly, like when you happen to bump into somebody at the grocery store, when you happen to be walking out to your car and somebody compliments you and it makes your day. There are so many different ways this can happen, right? But in the local environment is where we often find these gifts of magical moments and synchronicities that boost our energy. And a new moon, being a dark moon, is a time of reflection. It's a time to ask yourself what you most want. So you could be thinking about a website. You could be thinking about work that you do on your own as an independent contractor, or if you have your own business. You could be thinking about how do you want to learn and grow, if you want to start writing something, if you want to publish something, if you want to teach something, or something to do with one of those relationships that I mentioned, whether it's healing it or deepening it, or, maybe taking space from it, setting boundaries. You get the idea. Your communication could be shifting in some way. You could be taking a course on nonviolent communication. You could be learning a new language. You could be deciding that you want to change your environment, or you could be mulling over that. Am I happy where I am in my work, if you have an office where you live, or, where you're actually living? Then Capricorn, the sun will enter Aries on March 20th, and you will experience this transit of the sun, and also Neptune and Saturn are here, helping you to make a new dream real in your 4th house of family home, including your family members, the sanctuary that you create in your home, childhood conditioning, your roots, your sense of belonging, ancestral healing. This is also the mother line. So with the sun transiting your 4th house and Saturn and Neptune here, which will be activated this month with other transits to those planets, this is when, as I said in the opening, the rubber hits the road. The party is on, the game is on. We are off and running. And because this energy makes a square to your energy, because you are a fellow cardinal sign to Aries, it means that you are probably taking some sort of action in your home. And for some of you, this could be, I'm remodeling, or I'm, changing up the look of my home, or I'm getting more plants, or I'm, changing my bedding. Like that would be, a light version of this transit. But others of you might be really thinking about, do you want to change your home? Do you want to get a new home? Do you want to live in another place? Do you feel rooted where you are? Do you feel like you belong where you are? Or you could be doing this more internally, an internal transit of healing your inner child, ancestral healing, that kind of thing. And on the same day as the sun moves into Aries, we will also have Mercury shifting into direct motion in Pisces, Capricorn. Mercury in Pisces does also sextile your energy, so that's really lovely. But we all like it when Mercury stations direct and goes forward, because that means we tend to have fewer glitches. I don't know how this transit has been for you so far. We're just, as this video goes live, we are not very far into it, but it may be quite easy for you because it sextiles your Capricorn energy at least. But it's happening in the mercurial house, the third house of mindset and communication. And of course, communication is very much affected during Mercury retrograde. Also, if you are out and about doing errands, or you're trying to get to a meeting, or your car needs servicing and you didn't know it, or you put it off and then you get, heaven forbid, I hope this doesn't happen to anyone, but if you get a flat tire, any of that kind of stuff, I don't even want to put that out there. But Mercury will be turning direct on the same day that the sun goes into Aries, March 20th. So that's great news. And that's a really good time to launch something. If you haven't launched something yet, if you want to, you've been working on a website and you want to launch that after Mercury goes direct, or you are publishing something like a blog, or you are, doing something freelance, or you want to reach out to people to get new work, that kind of thing. This is a really good time to do that. So, beautiful Capricorn. All of that said, let me shuffle for you now. And I'm curious what your heart's desire, new dream is in your fourth house of home, family, roots, and belonging, given that Saturn and Neptune are there, and this is the month that those energies really get activated for you. Is there something that you want that is connected to those themes? And it could be connected to career too, because what happens is Saturn and Neptune transiting your fourth house, that's across from your 10th house of career. And if you have planets or points that Saturn and Neptune are activating, you could feel it in career instead, or in other houses as well. So Capricorn, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Your card is joy and delight. Open your heart to joy. This card is so simple, right? There's the inner child. Inner child healing falls in the fourth house where Saturn and Neptune are. So it could resonate for you in that respect. Or you could just feel more ready to open up to and experience more joy, more delight, more fun for fun's sake. This card is so simple. Open your heart to joy. Beautiful Capricorn, if you want to claim this in the comments below, I would love to hear. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius. Beautiful Sag. Sags, let's talk about your month of March. We are going to start with a March 3rd Virgo lunar eclipse in your 10th house of career, legacy, life purpose express, retirement or semi-retirement, how you spend your time. What is most important to you now in terms of your public self, because this is the 10th house. Now, I know a lot of you probably work at home. You may do something that's very introspective or cerebral or internal, and you may feel like your public self is not that public. But the 10th house is where we tend to receive back some sort of recognition, acknowledgement, hopefully appreciation for the work that we do. And if you don't work, it's how you are using your energy, especially if you are retired, or you have, some people are independently wealthy, they don't work, or they do volunteer jobs, or they, contribute their time to different, to a vocation, to a hobby, and so forth. So it's different for all of you, but a lunar eclipse, especially in Virgo, and especially this particular lunar eclipse in Virgo, conjunct the south node of endings and karmic and fated relationships. This particular eclipse is closing out a cycle that began January of 2025. So you can look back to that time and see, if anything began for you then, and if not, is anything shifting in your career? That's really what this is about. If it's not shifting in your career, it could be home or family, or actually, because this is an angle of your chart, it could be any role of in your life or a relationship, a significant committed partnership, business or personal, with a coworker and so forth. I have a separate video for you on this eclipse if you want to know more. I encourage you to watch that video. I do a much deeper dive. But really, this eclipse is saying, there's an ending and a new beginning with any eclipse. This one focuses on endings. It emphasizes a closing out of a cycle, but then a new door opens, right? It always does. As we let go of something, we let in something else. And Sag, for you, it could be less about an actual shift in career or how you spend your time, and more the way you do your work, the way you do it. Is there anything that's been unsustainable that you've had to change or need to change? Or this could affect something to do with your health. Virgo is the sign of, it's an earth sign, and it's connected to our health, to how we use our energy, to how we manage our the limited hours of time that we have in a day. And it's health and wellness and lifestyle and all of those things. We have Jupiter going direct in Cancer in your 8th house this month, of the 8th house of emotional attachments, power and control, death and rebirth, transformation. And on a practical level, this is the house of shared resources, your investments, if you have investments, nest eggs, a savings account, a debt, a loan, taxes, emotional and sexual intimacy. The 8th house is, we call it the house of emotional attachments because we can be codependent in this house. We can, hold on to things that we're not meant to hold on to any longer. We can have complicated relationships. We can have complicated relationships to our finances in this house, especially long-term finances. Or we could be going through something very practical, like where we want to buy a house or we want to sell a house. We want to allocate our portfolio if we have one, or we want to start saving, we want to start investing. The 8th house is where we are transforming through whatever is happening, because these things are so important to us. They're so important to our security. They're so important to our emotional well-being. So you get the idea with Jupiter going direct here. This is when I love Jupiter transits through the 8th house. We can have inheritances. We can have money from other people show up. We can get a lot of financial support, or we can just feel more like things are rolling more in our favor with Jupiter in the 8th house. And because it's been retrograde, it may have felt kind of quiet for you in terms of blessings, but now that it's going direct, you might begin to receive what is yours to receive. Beautiful Sag, that'd be great. We have a new moon in Pisces this month in your 4th house of home, family, childhood, conditioning, roots, and belonging. A new moon is a new manifestational cycle, and it is asking you to check in and reflect on your home and family life, your relationships with family members. Is there anything that you want to change? Is there anything new that you want in terms of your home? Do you feel rooted? Do you feel secure where you are? Do you feel like your home is your sanctuary? Or do you want to change that in some way? The new moon in Pisces is a great time to be doing that reflection and deciding what you want to intend to and what you want to create going forward in this area of your life. Also connected to the mother and the mother line and your ancestral roots. Now, the sun will enter Aries, and Aries season vibes really beautifully with you, Sag, whereas the Virgo and the Pisces energy, they challenge your energy. The sun in Aries being fire to your fire, it ignites you. So Aries season is lovely for you, Sag, and where you're going to have the sun transiting in your natal chart is the 5th house of love, romance, children, and creativity. Fun, joy, inner child delight. I love the 5th house because it's all the things that, bring us, that really light up our spirit and bring us that zest for life, that joie de vivre. So with the sun here and Neptune and Saturn already being in your 5th house, transiting your 5th house, and they are being activated this month, there's a call to you to connect with, if you haven't already, the new dream that is meant to, be co-created in this fifth house area. And so some of you might want to start a family. Some of you are deepening a relationship with a loved one. Some of you want to create or attract a romantic partner, or creative expression. You might be looking at how can you infuse more delight into your creativity with your inner child spurring you on, because that's what the inner child will do. If the inner child is not on strike, right, Sag? If the inner child is, if we're giving some space and time and listening to our inner child, then you could be infused with new inspiration for something that you want to create. But this house, the fifth house, is where you're being invited to make a new dream real, if I haven't said that already. A creative brainchild for some of you. And then Mercury is going to also, just like Jupiter did, Mercury is going to go direct this month. And Mercury will go direct in your fourth house of home, family, childhood conditioning, where we're going to have that new moon. Mercury will be going direct there too. So if you wanted to make any changes, if you wanted to buy a house, for example, or you wanted to, sign a lease or initiate a move, anything like that, this is a really good time to now be doing that, because once Mercury is direct, it's a better time to be signing leases and mortgages and all of that than it would be when Mercury is retrograde. So the question is, do you want to make any shifts, changes, or manifest anything in this fourth house? And if it's not an actual home, maybe it has to do with a relationship with a family member. That could be it as well. So overall, beautiful Sag, I think you're going to be ignited by the Virgo lunar eclipse and the new moon in Pisces and Mercury in Pisces, if you haven't already been, because those challenge our energy. And when we get a challenge to our energy, we are, we're having to take some sort of step or take some sort of action to move the energy, and that's very motivating. So that's, motivations are good, right? It's these squares that get us into action. I'm not saying they're easy, especially the Virgo lunar eclipse. That could definitely challenge you if you have any planets or points close to the degree point of that lunar eclipse. I talk about all those specifics in part 1 of this video. Plus, I have a video for you on a separate video for you on the Virgo lunar eclipse. But if that is close, if the degree point of 13 is close to your energies, any of your planets or points in Sag, then you'll get a T-square from that, and that's really going to motivate you. And I know those can be temporarily challenging, but then they get us going. But as soon as the sun enters Aries, and we have the spring equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, the fall equinox, as soon as that gets going, I think you're going to have a really renewed sense of inspiration, Sag, inspiration. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. I believe I was shuffling. I tend to shuffle while I'm talking, but I honestly was not aware. So let's shuffle now. Let's shuffle for you now and see. Beautiful Sag, your card is trust that there's a divine plan. Have you been going through a desert passage? This is acknowledging if you have felt that the passage has been narrow, if you have felt you've been in a desert, if you've been in a dry spell, then this card is saying, you're going to come out of that. You're going to go through finish going through this narrow pathway, and then you're going to go into the sun. And there's a divine plan. You are exactly where you are meant to be, beautiful Sag. You are exactly, things are flowing exactly as they are meant to be, even if it feels like you have been through a desert passage. If you want to comment on this or anything else that I shared in your reading, I love hearing from you. I'd love to know. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio, I think this is going to be a lovely month for you as so many of the transiting planets this month harmonize with your energy. So let's start with the Virgo lunar eclipse, which makes a sextile to your energy. That's an opportunity or a solution. And this lunar eclipse, like all lunar eclipses, are full moons. They close out a cycle. You're having this eclipse in your 11th house of the world. It's the world card in the tarot deck, which is in and of itself a new cycle. It's a completion of a cycle and a new one opening up for you. And it's asking you, what is your dream? What is your current dream? What would bring you fulfillment? That's the 11th house. Also connected to allies, friendships, supporters, any online presence that you have, or any online group or online dating that you could be involved in, social media platforms, if you are branding or promoting a product, if you are involved in any kind of support group or networking group. Also, long-term financial gains fall in this house. Really, big picture, this house is about you spreading your wings and, envisioning. It's really a visionary house. It's envisioning what your heart wants next. So I love that for you. And it's a lunar eclipse, which is an ending, but then it opens a door for you to go into new territory. Scorpio. Jupiter is going to move direct in Cancer, and that also makes a lovely trine to your energy. The lunar eclipse was a sextile. This is a trine. It's the easiest aspect we get. It is the wind filling up your sails, and Jupiter does that naturally. It expands you. And this is happening in the house of expansion, your 9th house. Higher learning, long distance travel, new horizons, adventures, other cultures and languages. This is Jupiter in the 9th house, is a big thumbs up, let's go for anything that is expansive to you. Whether you want to travel to another country, or you want to take a course in something, or you want to get a degree in something, or you are just on a metaphysical quest. You are seeking, perhaps. If you want to work for the government, this is positive for that. Get a visa. Have a positive outcome in any sort of lawsuit, or if you are working with the justice system in any way. This is all we tend to get what we need when Jupiter is transiting our house, or more than what we need, the blessings, the good luck, the good fortune. We have a new moon in Pisces, also trines your energy. You get what I mean, Scorpio. It's like one transit after another. These are all harmonizing with you. The new moon in Pisces is happening in your 5th house of love, romance, children, creativity, creative projects, your creative children, your fun, your joy. I call it the house of inner child delight, where we can get inspired. So a new moon is asking you to reflect on what your heart wants most in any of these areas. And if you want to plant the seeds of intention for a new romance, great. If you want to deepen one, wonderful. If you want to start a new creative project, fabulous. If you want to get pregnant, this new moon is a great time to intend that. If you want to just have more fun, all of this is up for you to co-create with the universe. That's a new moon. What are we co-creating? And then the sun is going to move into Aries on March 20th. So it will leave Pisces, it will enter Aries. The energy will palpably shift with the sun in Aries in your 6th house of daily work routines, health, wellness, lifestyle, and pets. Making a new dream real here with Saturn and Neptune both being activated this month. Also in this transiting this house, 6th house, and it really asks you, Scorpio, what is your new target, your new trajectory? Either having to do with your daily work, having to do with your health, your wellness, new choice of lifestyle. Some of you could have to do with a pet as well. It's really how you use your energy, this house. Do you feel that you are in your optimal health? And I know that's, that can be quite a target to set, optimal, but this really is about you noticing what is inspiring you right now. And it could be that you're cooking things differently, cooking different kinds of foods, or you're changing a workout routine, or you're starting one, or you are working differently, or you are um, deciding that you want to work at home instead of in an office, or, a lot of work environments are shifting things right now with all the changes that are going on globally and in our own, wherever you live, and also in our communities. There's so many changes happening, and the work, of course, with AI and all the changes, people's work situations are often, a lot of people's work situations are changing as well. So if that's happening for you, Scorpio, then you might be saying, is this working for me? Is this change that my employer is wanting to make, is that going to work for me? Or do I want to change it up? And maybe that means you want to have your own business, or you want to retire, or you want to do something differently. Are you really ready to change something in your physicality, perhaps, and work on that? The same day that the sun enters Aries, Mercury shifts into direct motion in Pisces, and that is in your 5th house where the new moon is. And so Mercury direct here is like, okay, now I'm going to ask that person out for a date. Not to say you couldn't date during a Mercury retrograde, you can, but things come to light during Mercury retrograde. So something could feel like it's time now, like the time is good with Mercury retrograde. We have fewer glitches. We have fewer communication issues going on. Or if you wanted to launch something, it is your house of creativity. If you wanted to launch something, if you wanted to, try to publish a book, or you wanted to try to get an agent, or you want to, get an agent for your film, a screenplay, or, your songwriting, or whatever it is, you're all, if you do engage in creative arts, or you are an artist, will be different for all of you, of course, but or you want to talk to your child's teacher and you decided, I'm going to hold off on that till Mercury goes direct, things like that. It could be anything. This is a good time to realize that you can sign an agreement, sign a contract. Maybe you want to propose to someone. I mean, proposals generally fall in the 7th house, that kind of commitment. It's a committed house, but relationships start in the 5th house, and there's nothing more romantic than a beautiful, proposal. So that could fall in this 5th house as well. So beautiful Scorpio, let us see what the cards have to say for you. And for those of you who don't want a lover, or you don't have one, or you don't, you're thinking in other ways, I want to say we can romance ourselves, right? We can create environments in our home or other places that are beautiful, and we can give ourselves the things that make our hearts really sing, and we can create our own inner romance with ourselves or with our souls. We can romance our soul and deepen that relationship, which is one of the big themes of my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, which is always linked in the description box below. So Scorpio, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Scorpio, your card is, Walk in Beauty, Wondrous Universe. There's magic afoot for you. The Wizard. And there's Saturn, right? And maybe this is a full moon, I'm not sure, but there's something in this card, possibly because Saturn's there. It's alluding to your new dream, Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries. That dream that is being made real in your 6th house of work, routines, health, wellness, lifestyle, pets. Use your alchemical wizardry powers is what I'm getting from this. Realign yourself with the truth if you need to, that we are in a wondrous universe. Sometimes when we are going through the throes of daily life, everything practical, we can easily forget that. But it says, walk in beauty. Know that you can create beauty. You can create miraculous things. You are an alchemist yourself, beautiful Scorpio. And if you want to claim any of that in the comments, I would love to hear. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, the Virgo lunar eclipse is happening for you on March 3rd. in your 12th house of the other realms, the ethereal magic of the 12th house, your mystical self, spiritual awakening, your divine connection, your intuitive guidance. These are all the inner nudges that we get through, our synchronicities and our signs and who you work with in terms of angels or guides. It's all of the things that we can't touch. And so this is where the eclipse is happening for you. And this is a great time during this eclipse because it's the closing out of a cycle, and it does represent it's an important eclipse because it's conjunct the South Node. And I talk about this in depth in my whole separate video on this eclipse. But it's an important eclipse for us moving into a new cycle, which is very much in alignment with Saturn and Neptune and Aries. So this is a good time for you to be aware during this eclipse. If there's anything going on subconsciously, you could be getting intense dreams. You could be getting messages through your dreams or through channeling, if you channel, through card pulls, through videos like this. You could be getting messages that are talking to you specifically about whatever message this Virgo lunar eclipse has for you. You could be making changes with your daily work, your lifestyle, with your health. Something could be going on because the 6th house of those things is across from your 12th house, and the eclipse is on the 6th and 12th house axis, really, with the sun and the moon opposite each other. This is an important eclipse to release any self-sabotaging behaviors such as self-doubt or procrastination or anything that potentially, Libra, you may have, could be relationships with coworkers as well that have run their course for you, because this is South Node eclipses are very much connected to karmic contracts, relationships, and fated moments. So that's what's happening right at the beginning of the month for you. It's a door closing and a new door opening for some of you. If you're one of the ones that's very intensely activated by this eclipse, I give those degrees and signs in part 1 of this video. The Jupiter direct in Cancer transit is happening for you in your 10th house of career. Jupiter's moving direct in your house of legacy, life purpose express, retirement or semi-retirement, how you spend your time. What does this mean for you, Libra? It means that you could be really ready for a positive, tangible boost in career right now. With Jupiter transiting through your 10th house, it's a great time to make any kind of change. It's a great time to be recognized. It's a great time to feel appreciated. It is a Jupiter transit in the 10th house. If you're not happy in your work, it's a good time to look for new work, especially when Mercury turns direct, which I'll talk about in a moment. But you could have been asking yourself, what changes do you want to make, or how would you want to expand? Jupiter's generally expansive. Have you done any expansion in career? Do you want to expand your income? Do you want to expand your reach if you have your own business? You get the idea. Do you want to retire? Do you want to change how you do your work? Any of that is possible. Jupiter brings in good luck, good fortune, generally speaking, and it makes us feel more optimistic and hopeful. So you can look forward to that in your house of career or how you spend your time. We have a new moon in Pisces, and that's happening in your 6th house of daily work, routines, health, on all levels, your lifestyle and your pets. The new moon is reflective. It supports you to reconnect with what your heart most wants in these areas of your life. So setting intentions for any changes you want within your work or within your health or routines or lifestyle is a great way to use this new moon, beautiful Libra. And then the sun will enter Aries. And this is important for you because Aries is your opposite sign. So Libra, you are somebody who takes, generally speaking, I know some Libras are not in relationships. And when I say relationships, I mean all relationships. I don't just mean that you are married or you have a partner or you have a business partner or whatever. It's any kind of relationship. And if you aren't in any of those kinds of relationships, we all have a relationship to ourselves, right? We all have a relationship to our soul, to our higher self. So it could apply for you that way. But with the sun moving into Aries in your 7th house is lit up with life force energy, that's really beautiful. It tends to be energizing within relationships, or again, your relationship to you. And Saturn and Neptune are also transiting this house, asking you, what does your heart want to make real for a dream around partnership or around your own commitments to yourself, your own commitments to what matters most to you. And also keep in mind, if you work with other people, any other people, whether they're clients or coworkers, or if you interact with others in some other capacity, those relationships could fall in the seventh house as well. On the same day that the sun enters Aries, you're going to have Mercury turning direct in your sixth house. So Mercury direct is always a yay because, if you felt at all affected by the Mercury retrograde, which everybody will to different degrees, depending on the planets and points in your chart that may be activated by that Mercury retrograde. But Mercury retrograde, if it was activating you in your sixth house, you could have had glitches in communication within your work situation, with any routines or schedules or your health, or any kinds of conversations or communications that have to do with health, like with setting appointments with practitioners, you get the idea, or with a pet, or if you're rethinking, perhaps you've been rethinking your lifestyle or rethinking your work, or maybe you've been wanting to apply for a new job, or maybe you've been wanting to change your work in some way, or leave a job, or start your own business, or, obviously this can play out for all of you in many different ways. But for you, the person I'm talking with right now, my question is, did you get any aha moment with Mercury retrograde in Pisces in your sixth house? Did you have any awareness around wanting to change any of these things? If so, when Mercury stations direct, this is a good time to put that into action, Libra. So let's see what the cards have to say for you for your month of March. In Libra, I work with a lot of you in astrology readings, and you're very diplomatic. You are balanced. You need balance. You need fairness in your life. You need mutually reciprocal relationships. So with the sun entering Aries in your seventh house and Saturn and Neptune moving through your seventh house, this is a good time to be really assessing whether that balance and reciprocity is something that you have, and if not, is there a boundary you can set to bring that more into practice? And sometimes that means setting boundaries with ourselves first, saying no to things, not reading potentially stressful emails right before we go to bed, not giving somebody who's being quote unquote crazy making in your life your time and energy. You get the idea. So I trust that came through for a reason for one of you or more. And let's see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Libra. Libra. Your card is through gratitude, joy expands. Grace and gratitude. Grace is the universe bringing you unexpected blessings. That is coming through for you. Gratitude is you, of course, being grateful for whatever you're grateful for. And I always see this card as a nudge to have a gratitude practice if you don't already. I also love that there is this sort of magical light energy coming up from her hand, and it reminds me of this idea that we can manifest through our hands. We can channel energy through our hands. We can intend. She's looking at her hand and she's looking at that energy. You could be using your hands, looking at your hand, imagining. You could be imagining that there is whatever you want to manifest is coming up and out of your hand. There's something really magical about that in this card. And I think she's got a heart there, right? Or the pebbles. The pebbles, or not the pebbles, the blooms of the spring cherry blossoms falling on her hand. This is a really exotic location too, as I look at this card. To me, it feels very exotic. It looks like she's in Asia with the architecture there, the building. Maybe some of you want to take an exotic trip. Beautiful Libra, if anything that I shared resonates, or if you want to claim you the grace that is blessing you in your life, let us know. I'd love to hear. Virgo. Hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, your month of March begins with a lunar eclipse in your sign. The Virgo lunar eclipse is happening in your first house of you, your identity, your appearance, your roles, your commitments, your vitality. The first house having an eclipse here is really anything can happen with an eclipse in your first house. Why? Because it's an angle of your chart and it talks to all the other angles, your seventh house of partnerships, your fourth house of home and family, your 10th house of career, life purpose, express, retirement, or semi-retirement. And so any roles that you play, these are the most important areas of life, right? They can all be activated in terms of change or something closing out or ending or something new beginning in with this Virgo lunar eclipse for you. So are you changing something in your, as we call it, identity? That's such a not a concrete term, right? Identity. Like we identify with all the things that we value. We identify with who we are, how we would describe who we are, with our job titles. Often we identify with, how we contribute to others, how we contribute to this world. And Virgos, of course, are known as the people who quote unquote serve. But I think part of this lunar eclipse is showing us where we've been more in servitude than service, where we have overgiven, where we've over-sacrificed, where we've been doing our work or our life in some way that isn't sustainable. And that is what we are being shown we must change. So you could resonate with that as well. But big picture, as a South Node eclipse, it's connected to karma, karmic endings, fated meetings, fated relationships, and all of that. And closing out a cycle. We are definitely closing out a cycle with this eclipse. So Virgo, you could feel a relief. Some of you could feel like, I'm glad that such and such is over. I'm glad I'm not doing this anymore. I'm glad I've realized I can't sustain this anymore and that I'm making a change and now I can open space for something new. Leave me a comment. Let me know if that resonates for you. We're going to have a lovely transit of Jupiter shifting into direct motion in Cancer, which sextiles your energy. That's an opportunity or a solution. That's a blessing in your 11th house of fulfillment. Now, an 11th house transit asks you to look at the bigger picture of your life and what will bring you, joy, what will bring you a sense of purpose, what vision are you aligned with right now? This is also connected to friendships and allies and supporters. If you have an online presence, a social media platform, if you brand or promote a product, if you are working on your financial, like long-term financial picture, this house is connected to the gains in that as well. Wherever Jupiter is transiting, this is where we do tend to have some sort of an increase, some sort of up-leveling or upgrade in our life. You may have had this already. It could have slowed down with Jupiter retrograde for the past 4 months since November 11th. And now you could feel like, okay, now I'm getting those, things are happening again. Things are starting to look up. If you've had any sort of a dry spell, then that dry spell could end and you could feel like you're in the you're getting fed now, so to speak. It's getting lush again. You get the idea. We're going to have a new moon in Pisces, Virgo, in your 7th house of committed partnerships. So after this lunar eclipse closes something out in your first house of you, which is across from the new moon in Pisces, then the new moon says, okay, now what do you want in relationships? And I know we're all different as far as what kind of relationships we want to be in, whether they are romantic or business or best friendships and so forth. So you're all different for that with regard to that. But regardless, a new moon in your 7th house is asking you what matters most to you now in relationship, and are there any relationship dynamics that you want to shift. And it's a new moon, so it's a dark moon, it's reflective, but it is a time to be going into your heart and connecting with what you want to manifest, what you want to shift. You get the idea in relationship. And if that's not a relationship with another person, it's a relationship with yourself or your own soul. The sun is going to enter Aries on March 20th, the equinox, and the same day we'll have Mercury direct, which is wonderful. I'll get to that in a moment. But where will the sun be entering Aries in your astrology chart? In your 8th house of emotional attachments, power and control, death and rebirth, transformation. This house is the house that is connected to our long-term financial security and the relationships in which we share money, time, or resources. So it also pulls in things like real estate, especially our own home, but it could also be investment in, other property potentially. It can be nest eggs, it can be debts, loans, taxes, and it's emotional and sexual intimacy as well. Neptune and Saturn are also transiting this house for you. And Neptune and Saturn, if you've been watching my videos, you know that they are symbolic of us creating a new dream and making it real, us co-creating with the universe. So if that has been something that you've been working on, especially if you have any planets or points in the early degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, then you are probably very aware of what you want to be different in your life in this area of your life, whether it's a financial thing for you or a relationship thing, because this is both of those themes are very strong in 8th house matters. And, the sun going into Aries is meant to renew us. It's meant to take us through a rebirthing process, some of us, and you could experience that. I mean, this is the house of rebirth after all. So that's really positive for you, Virgo. On the same day that the sun enters Aries, Mercury will shift into direct motion. It will station direct in Pisces in your 7th house of committed relationships. And so if you've had any miscommunications, if you've had any glitches or any, difficult things happen with other people, the good news is that Mercury direct tends to minimize those kinds of things. And if you've been wanting to take a relationship forward, if you've been wanting to make a proposal to someone, if you've been wanting, and that could be a business proposal or a romantic proposal, if you've been wanting to ask someone out on a date, but you were waiting for Mercury to go direct in your 7th house of partnerships, then good news, on March 20th, that is going to happen. So beautiful, Virgo, let me shuffle for you and let us see what the cards have to say for you. My favorite transit for you is Jupiter direct in Cancer in your 11th house. And so if I were you, I would be thinking about, your relationships too, with the new moon in Pisces and Mercury going direct there. But I would be thinking about in what way do I want my life to expand in 11th house matters? And what is my new dream? What do I want to, maybe how do I want to spread my wings? Is there a risk that I want to take? Is there a way I could be coming out of my comfort zone and embracing life just a little bit more? Jupiter going direct in Cancer. Let's see what the cards have to say for you, Virgo. The gates of triumph are opening up for you. Success is expanding in your life, Virgo. This for sure is one of my favorite cards in the deck. Absolutely. What I love about this card is that you can see this is a portal card, and eclipses are portals too. I talk much more about eclipses in my eclipse video, lunar eclipse video for you in your sign, Virgo. So if you haven't watched that, I encourage you to watch it. I'll do another video on the new moon in Pisces, of course, but eclipses are portals. And this card is a portal card. And you can see that with these charred trees, you can see that you've been through some hard stuff. You've been through some, perhaps a death and rebirth. And now you're going through this portal into the light, onto a new trail. Look at this light, how expansive it is, just like Jupiter going direct. Success is expanding in your life, beautiful Virgo. If you want to claim this in the comments, I would absolutely love to hear. Leo. Hello, beautiful Leo. Leo, the Virgo lunar eclipse, which starts out our month of March, is happening for you in your second house of material security. This is the house of your earned income. This is your possessions. It's the things that make you feel more rooted and grounded in a material way. Also, your sense of self-worth, and do you feel like you deserve what your heart most wants? So with a lunar eclipse here, and eclipses can eclipse things out of our life when they're no longer in vibrational alignment with us, when they are not growing us or, taking us forward in our destiny. And this is a South Node eclipse, which is about endings and karmic and fated moments, and sometimes relationships closing out. So something to do with your income or your self-worth could be shifting with this lunar eclipse. You could be temporarily, losing an income potentially, but that's not going to be the case for all of you by any means. First of all, this eclipse has to closely activate a planet or point in your chart for you to, really feel it intensely. But also, this could be more internal, this Virgo lunar eclipse. It could be more internal in terms of you realizing, I want to make more money, or I want to start something that that's going to allow me to make money on the side, or I want to start my own business. I don't want to work for a person anymore. Or maybe you are, one income is ending, but then you're getting another income through something else. Maybe you're retiring and you're pulling on Social Security, for example. That's just one example, but it will be different for everyone. But, there could be a shift in a cycle for you that has to do with earned income. There could be also a shift that has to do with possessions. Some of you could be downsizing. Some of you could be, deciding to have a whole different lifestyle and live in like a camper van or something, or deciding to live in another country. Just because a lot of times people do that when they decide they don't want to rely on a specific income anymore, a certain income. They want to be more free. And so they want to, do their life in a way that doesn't cost as much money. That could be happening for some of you as well. So that's the lunar eclipse. Of course, any ending opens a door for a new beginning and doing things in fresh and new ways, Leo. And then fortunately for all of us, Jupiter is shifting into direct motion, which can bring more external blessings, the blessings that our human selves really like, the ones that we can touch and feel and say, my luck is really working in my favor. Jupiter is turning direct in your 12th house. Now, I remember having my own transit of Jupiter in the 12th house, and a lot of the blessings were aha moments and realizations and feeling very protected by the divine. Why? Because the 12th house is the house of our divine connection, the ethereal realms, your mystical self. It is spiritual awakening, and it's very internal, the 12th house. Unless you do like a spiritually based business, that could really be thriving. Or maybe you work in a hospital, or maybe you work in a prison. Any of the areas like hospitals and prisons that are connected to the 12th house, that can be, then the blessings can be more tangible. But, or maybe it's also the house of foreign lands. It's where we sometimes move to another country. So you could get an opportunity, or you already have had an opportunity to live in a different country. Leave me a comment if that's true. That's fun to hear about. I was having a Mars retrograde transit in my 12th house when I moved to another country. So that was interesting, but it brought me back, I'm sure, to a place that I had been in past lifetimes. That's how I interpreted it. And, the 12th house is the house of other lifetimes as well. It is the house of connections that we make with people that we have been connected with when we had other incarnations. So this is a great time with Jupiter moving direct in your 12th house to contemplate anything that will make you feel expansive, anything that will make you connect more with your inner self, to feel your spiritual powers. You could feel an expansion of any of your clairs, claircognizance, clairaudience, all the clairs, like you clairsentience, your third eye opening up. Those things could happen as well. We're going to have a new moon in Pisces. And for you, that new moon is happening in your 8th house of emotional attachments, power and control, death and rebirth, transformation on a practical level. This is shared resources, time, money, and energy, emotional and sexual intimacy. This is all things financial, especially long-term financial things, your assets like retirement funds, real estate, um, any kind of property that you own, if you do, savings, nest eggs. It's also debts and loans and taxes. So it's a lot of different ways that it could play out in a lot of different ways with finances. But what's important to know is that the 8th house, we call it a transformational house because these things, these financial elements and these close partnerships in which we are, very intimate with people, they can really trigger us emotionally. That's why I say emotional attachments. And a new moon here, sometimes we go deep with that. Sometimes we realize things. Sometimes we do some deep reflection on whether a partnership is still right for us. Sometimes we do deep reflection on, do we want to make any changes in our sexuality in terms of how we feel about ourselves in that regard? Do we want to deepen a relationship, end it, or start a new one? You get the idea. And the same can happen with our financial situation. We can be deeply reflecting on that because a new moon is a new manifestational cycle, and it's asking us, inviting us to plant seeds of intention for what we do want, what our heart is most connected to, what we do value in this area. The sun is going to leave Pisces and enter Aries into your 9th house of expansion. And when it does, you could be ignited with inspiration and passion about something new that will expand you, higher learning, whether it's a degree program or certification program, any kind of travel, especially further away travel, could be calling to you, a new adventure, anything that feels like a new horizon for you, learning another language, exploring another culture, anything that feels like a quest or seeking, expanding, learning, books, reading, publishing, podcasting, broadcasting, teaching a course. All of these things fall within this house. And for some people, you will feel it in, if you work for the government or you are trying to get a visa or any kind of paperwork done so that you can live in another country or travel to another place, or if you are working within the justice system at all, whether that's through a lawsuit or anything else, you could feel it in that way as well. And remember that we have Saturn and Neptune here in Aries, and they're being activated this month. And because of that, Leo, there's a lot more energy in this 9th house for you. And Aries energy trines your energy. It is the best aspect we can get. It's the most flowing. It's like not doing much of anything to receive the benefits of this when it does make a connection to your rising sign or any other planets or points in Leo that you might have. That's when the sun does in Aries. That's when lovely things can happen without us doing a lot. Or, honestly, with these trines, sometimes it can just be a feel-good day too. So if you want something to happen, if you want to receive a blessing, or you want something to work out your way in these 9th house themes, then I encourage you to be very proactive about that. On the same day, Leo, that the sun enters Aries, Mercury will shift into direct motion. It will station direct in Pisces in your 8th house. So where we had the new moon in Pisces, that's where Mercury is shifting into direct motion too. So that's really good for relationship communication. That's good for any dealings that you're doing with having to do with finances, especially if you're working with a bank or you're anything that where you don't want there to be a glitch, basically. Not that any of us want glitches, but especially when if there's any sort of red tape, or it's a corporation, or it's a brokerage firm, or, we're signing an agreement for a mortgage, or we're selling a house, or any of those things. Those are all things that you really want things to go smoothly and well. And that's when Mercury direct can work so much better for us. So if you've been wanting to sell a house, or you've been wanting to buy a house, then the timing with Mercury direct tends to be much better than when Mercury is retrograde. Also a great time to have a deep diving conversation with somebody that you're very close to. We can have those conversations when Mercury is retrograde too, but maybe it's a second conversation. Maybe you had one when it was retrograde, and then you're doing a follow-up when it's direct. And you probably, if you're going through anything like that with someone that in which you share intimacy, deeply emotional or physical, a Mercury direct can give us an aha moment that shows us something that we didn't see before, that we've been needing to see. So that can be a wonderful gift. So Leo, now that I have said all that, let me shuffle for you, and let's see what the cards say for your month of March. Are you excited for this month of March? I do love that the Aries energy is so supportive of your energy, Leo. Let's see what the cards have to say. I think you're going to be infused, because you're a fire sign and Aries is a fire sign. I think that infusion of fresh start energy will be really wonderful for you. Okay, Leo. Your card is Voyage of the Heart. Do you relate to being on a voyage of the heart? It says love flows through you and to you. With the 8th house new moon and the 8th house Mercury direct, this could be referring to that, because the 8th house is a partnership house as well. And again, it doesn't have to be a committed partnership for you to be feeling this. Or maybe this is a voyage of the heart with yourself, with your own higher self, self-love. But what a beautiful card. So creative too, all the colors. Love flows through you and to you. If you want to claim this in the comments, love flows through me and to me. What a beautiful affirmation. Beautiful, Leo. And you're connected to the heart. The heart is what your sign rules. What your sign rules, beautiful Leo. Happy month of March. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, let's talk about your month of March. It begins with a Virgo lunar eclipse on March 3rd, in which we are closing out a cycle. Where is this Virgo lunar eclipse happening for you? In your 3rd house of moving and shaking. This is your local environment. It's your relationships with your siblings, your aunts, uncles, cousins, but also the local people that you connect with, whether it's neighbors, the people that you meet when you do your errands, and you buy your groceries, or you go to a gym or a yoga studio. All those things, those are all part of the communications that we do in the 3rd house. Big picture, this eclipse is also connected to your mindset and your communications and your inner narrative, as well as if you are a freelancer, if you have your own business, if you have a website, if you are a writer, if you teach, if you are doing any sort of a teaching or learning program right now, that would be connected to this house, or could be brought into the fore with your lunar eclipse. This lunar eclipse is about closing something out. And if it's not an actual thing, like if you're not moving your location, if you're not changing where you exercise, if you're not going through something with a sibling or a neighbor or an extended family member or a landlord or a mortgage broker, if you're not buying a new car, if you're not if something's not going on with a device, for example, then it could be the way in which you have used your energy in any of these areas of your life needs to shift. For example, if you have your own business and you've been overgiving in something, or you've been overdoing something, or you've been sacrificing too much of your time and energy on any particular thing within your business, then that is up for review and change with this eclipse. Things can get eclipsed out of our life. We can have potentially have glitches, because it's a third house eclipse for you, and that is a mercurial ruled house, and Mercury is retrograde during the eclipse. Something could happen with one of your devices, so make sure and back those up. As I'm saying this, I know that my phone is running on low battery as I'm recording the rest of this video. So I need to plug in soon. These are long videos. But for you, Cancer, and by the way, I have Cancer Moon, Cancer Rising. So for you, Cancer, this eclipse brings up the question, and I have a separate video for you on this eclipse that is linked in the description box below. The question is, are you happy with where you are in your local environment? Is it feeding you? Or any of the themes that I mentioned, are they still in alignment with your vibration? Is where you are physically still right for you? Or do you need some sort of change? Or do you need to change the way you go about your daily life? Or do you need to change the way you do your work if you are self-employed? You get the idea. Jupiter is going to go direct in our sign, Cancer. Yay! Can I get an amen? Because I'm happy about this. Now, normally, I don't really make a big deal out of this, but because I have had a significant transit squaring my natal Jupiter, I have really felt this. Jupiter direct in Cancer says that those tangible blessings, those things that make us feel expanded, the optimism, the hope, this can happen more easily in the house in which Jupiter is transiting. For Cancer risings, that is the first house. And even if you have Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon in a different house, the themes may still apply to you. So feeling expanded in your identity, in any roles you play, any titles at work, any roles within your personal relationships, commitments, your appearance, your vitality. Jupiter going direct, going back over any planets or points in your Cancer energy is also protective. Now, we've been protected with Jupiter retrograde. It's not like we haven't had that Jupiter protection. We have, for sure. I've certainly felt that. Angels, guides, feeling like, the universe has your back, for sure. But I do love a Jupiter direct. I do love it because the blessings tend to be more tangible, things that we touch and feel, the things that our human selves love to celebrate, celebrational moments. Cancer, the new moon in Pisces, which trines your energy, is happening in your 9th house of expansion. This is a month for you you're being invited to expand in some way, whether it's through higher learning, a certification program, a degree program, or self-study, learning astrology, for example, or long distance travel. It's about expanding your horizons, new adventure, new scenery, opening up to other possibilities. You could be reading books that are expanding you. You could be learning a new language. You could be exploring another culture. You could feel like you're on a quest. You could feel like you are seeking justice, or you are jumping through hoops so that you can get, the things that you need to travel to another country, for example, or to move to another country. That could be part of it as well. Big picture, the 9th house is encouraging us to expand. And that's really what this new moon is about. And it's asking you what would expand you, because the new moon is for us to decide what are the seeds we're going to plant for intention. We are creating this new moon, right? It's the beginning of a cycle. We're the ones co-creating what we want. So we're being asked to contemplate, reflect on what does our heart most want. Cancer. The sun is going to leave Pisces and enter Aries for you in your 10th house of career. And this, of course, is a point. It's an angle of your chart. Your midheaven is a point in your chart. And with Saturn and Neptune already in Aries getting activated this month by transiting planets, this is really the official new beginning of the new era of Saturn and Neptune in Aries, saying, what new dream do you want to make real in your career life, or having to do with a legacy that you want to leave, or your life purpose expressed, retirement, semi-retirement, how you want to spend your time. It is a big shift of energy, especially for those of you with planets or points in the very early degrees of your sign, like 0 to 3 degrees especially. But Saturn's going to move quickly. So Saturn will be getting to some of the, later degrees up to 14 degrees this month. And I have a separate video for you on Saturn and Aries as well, how you might experience it on a personal level, in addition to my Saturn and Neptune video. So this is a month that you could feel this kind of takeoff energy, like the fire being lit underneath you, or hopefully the fire burning in your belly, new inspiration, new excitement, a new trajectory, some of you. The same day that the sun enters Aries and spring begins in the Northern Hemisphere, we have the equinox. That same day, Mercury will station direct. It will shift into direct motion, which is so beautiful in Pisces. This Mercury retrograde has not challenged your Cancer energy. It could have challenged your other energy, because we have planets and points and, many different signs and houses, right? But Mercury has been retrograde in your ninth house. So if you felt like you want to travel, for example, but you haven't felt like you can, or you haven't wanted to, then you might feel like, now I'm ready to buy a plane ticket. I'm ready to think about where I want to go, or I'm ready to take some sort of a learning program. You could feel like you are very ready for a new adventure. You could feel a little bit antsy, a little bit restless. I want to move. I want to get out of wherever I am. I need new scenery. I'm ready to expand. I want to learn a new language. I want to explore a new culture. I want to, you could be in seeking, questing mode. Or if you've been in a lawsuit or something, to do with legalities, and you haven't, it hasn't, nothing's been happening on it, you could feel the motion of that moving direct with Mercury moving direct. So Cancer, let me pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say. Even though the sun in Aries squares your energy, that's an activating energy, and the activations are the ones that get us inspired, they get us moving. There can be tension and pressure, but they move us forward. So I hope that you feel that new inspiration. Okay, so let's see what the cards have to say for you. Beautiful Cancer. It is time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing, crossing bridges. You are crossing a bridge. You are going through a soul initiation, some of you. You are going from where you are now to where you want to be. And you see the full moon in the background. This is a night sky, so that would be a full moon. The lunar eclipse is, of course, a full moon, even though, it's an orange moon is what it ends up looking like. But this could be referring to that because it's Virgo energy, and Virgo is about healing. And this card says it's time to heal. It's time to connect, mend, and release. So Cancer, what this means for you personally, right? But if you have felt stuck, if you have felt things have not been moving, you are moving. It's just that you're crossing a bridge. You're going from one energetic place to another, one vibration to another, one, a relationship could be ending, a relationship could be shifting, or you could be deciding you want to spend your time differently or with different people or more with yourself and so on. The focus, though, is on healing, and I think this will be quite a lovely healing lunar eclipse for you, especially because it sextiles your Cancer energy, and sextiles are solutions, opportunities. It's easier to release emotions, to do forgiveness work, to do work, self-compassion work on our hearts when we have this flowing energy that we Cancers get from the Virgo energy. So if anything that I shared resonates and you want to share in the comments, beautiful Cancer, I'd love to hear. Gemini. Hello, beautiful Gemini. Gemini, I have my natal sun in Gemini, and you are going to kick off your month with a lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd in your 4th house of your roots, belonging, home, family, relationships with family members, your connection to your sanctuary and your own home, how you want your home to look and feel, how you want to experience it, whether you're ready for a new home, whether you are moving or you're staying put, or, this is also connected to childhood conditioning, inner child healing, ancestral healing, the mother line. something could be getting eclipsed out of your life. If it is time for you to move, if you are not meant to be where you are living right now, then that could be shifting for you. And sometimes that happens during an eclipse unexpectedly, which I hope doesn't happen for any of you. But if you know that you are meant to move and you haven't moved, then the universe can sometimes give us a little push to set us up with the right situation, place, and so on. You get the idea. Whatever is happening for you during this lunar eclipse, which does make a tense aspect to your energy, it could be making positive aspects to other planets or points in your chart. And that's something that I do illuminate for you, of course, in astrology consultations. But if it is making a challenging aspect to your energy, especially a close one, then, you know, there will be some action that you need to take. But you're going to know what action you need to take, Gemini. Geminis are you're mutable energy, you're very flexible. You can go with the flow, ride with the tide. You are very intelligent. You will have all the resources you need to make the decisions that you need to make if that is the case. And this is a great eclipse to do some healing, inner healing on anything having to do with home or family. It's the bottom of your chart, the fourth house. It is a placement of, our deep, deep roots. So it could even have some connection to one of your ancestors. And I have a separate video for you on this eclipse where I do a deeper exploration of the themes and so on, if you'd like to check that out. Gemini, Jupiter is turning direct, yay, in Cancer, in your second house of earned income. If you feel like your income has been, has dwindled a little bit, if it hasn't been as robust as you want it, if you have felt any sense of a self-esteem drop, or that you just haven't felt deserving of what you most want and things haven't been manifesting, if just overall big picture, you haven't felt strong in terms of your material wealth and so on. I know wealth it has a lot of connotations, but what I mean by that is your own definition of that. We want to have, of course, we all want to receive the resources, the income, the things that we need to take care of our lives and that allow us to live in the way that we want to live. So that's what this house is about. Your possessions too. Jupiter direct is often where things start flowing again. If it feels like you haven't been getting those blessings and the good luck and the good fortune that we talk about with Jupiter, it could start flowing again. So that's really lovely. Then we have a new moon in Pisces, which is happening in your 10th house of career, legacy, life purpose express, semi-retirement or retirement, how you want to spend your time. The thing about this month for you, Gemini, is that because the lunar eclipse is happening in your fourth house. The new moon in Pisces is happening in your 10th house. These are angles of your chart, and they can be really important turning points, especially an eclipse in your life. And so this axis of career across from your home and family sector, you could really be having something important go on in one or both of those areas for you, where you're making a decision, where you're reflecting, where you're doing some clearing out, and so on. What I love for you, Gemini, is the sun entering Aries. Aries is very simpatico with Gemini energy. Fire to your air. It makes a sextile. It's a new opportunity. It's a new solution. It is inspired passion. And the sun will enter Aries in your 11th house of the world. The world is your oyster. Also, your dreams, what would make you feel fulfilled, allies, friendships, supporters, online dating, any kind of online presence or platform, social media platforms, if you brand or promote a product or you want to, long-term financial gains. The 11th house says, where do you want to travel? Where do you want to, you don't have to travel, but you get the idea. It's more of a metaphor. It's like, where do you want to expand? It's a new cycle. When we have an 11th house transit, we're closing out a cycle and we've got a new cycle starting. And Neptune and Saturn are here too, helping you to make a new dream real. So it's a big deal with Neptune and Saturn here. And for the first time in March, we're getting those planetary activations to those planets, in addition to the sun coming into your 11th house. So are you inspired right now, Gem? Are you inspired? Is there something that you want, some way in which you want to expand, something new that you want to do? That's really beautiful. If so, this is what you're being supported to do. Let's say that you're being supported to dream. Dream big, Gemini. The same day that the sun enters Aries, and of course that's the spring equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere. It is the fall equinox if you're in the southern hemisphere, but that same day Mercury will shift into direct motion, which is really lovely for Geminis, especially because we are Mercury ruled, and when we have a Mercury retrograde, we can feel like, again, it can feel like things are not moving forward. They're not meant to during a Mercury retrograde. We're meant to be reviewing. We're meant to be doing cleanup. We're meant to be doing, going through stuff and getting rid of it, and, going back over things that we didn't do, that we, maybe procrastinated on, or that we put off because we were too busy with other things, right? But with Mercury going direct on the 20th in your 10th house of career, or if you're retired, how you spend your time, or if you're in between jobs, your passion or your vocation, or maybe your current vocation is soul searching. Maybe you're in a soul searching phase. That would not be surprising given that Mercury's been retrograde in your 10th house. It's been having you reflect on how things are going with either a career, or with how you spend your time, or what you're devoted to, what your commitments are, what matters most to you right now. If you're retired, how you spend your retirement. There's been a reflection period with Mercury retrograde there. And now with Mercury moving direct, now the energy is flowing again. Now it's on to new territory, new degrees, new territory, new dreams, new possibilities, whatever your heart truly wants. Beautiful gem. So let me shuffle for you, and let's see what the cards have to say for you for your month of March. I know for me, with Aries energy, I always feel really positively activated, my Gemini energy by Aries. So I hope you feel the same. Beautiful gem. I think that most of us are really ready for more passion right now. Leave me a comment. Let me know if that's true for you. Okay, Gemini. And I'm passionate about what I do. You can see that. I hope you can see that. But still, it's like Geminis need fire. We need fire. And there hasn't been a lot of fire lately. So answering the call, the time is now. Beautiful gem. I love this card. She's walking through a portal. Answering the call. That is your 10th house. That is your 11th house. Saturn and Neptune, the sun and Aries in your 11th house of the world is your oyster. Mercury going direct in your 10th house of vocation, passion, life purpose expressed, career for some of you, retirement for others of you. What are you being called to do? My book is about this. It's called The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling. And so if you want some support on that, if you want to go, I basically take you from where you are now to where you want to be. And I share my stories along the way, and I give you meditations and exercises and tips. And it's meant to be a workbook, but in, more playful fashion. And I show you how to do automatic writing, how to write to spirit, how to deepen your partnership with the divine. So I only bring that up because it's very much in alignment with this card, answering the call. If you want to claim that you are answering the call, beautiful gem, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Taurus. Hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus. Let's talk about the Virgo lunar eclipse. That is the first event of March for you, the first astrological event on March 3rd. This eclipse for you, like all eclipses that are lunar, they're closing out a cycle. It is closing out a cycle. Plus, it's a South Node eclipse, which emphasizes even more that theme of an ending. or a graduation moment or a full circle manifestation. It's happening in your fifth house of love, romance, creativity, children, or creative brain children, inner child delight, fun, and joy. So with an eclipse here, if you are dating, that could close out for you. If you are, you could be pregnant. You could be giving birth to a baby. Babies are born on lunar eclipses. That can happen, or around this time. We feel eclipses 6 weeks before, 6 weeks after, and then they come to fruition often months later. You could be really deciding what you want this area of your life to be like, whether you are a creator and you consider yourself creative, or you consider yourself an artist, or we all have a different focus when we have an eclipse in a house with many themes, right? For you it could be love and romance, for you it could be creativity, or it could be children instead, or a child could be leaving your home and going off to college, for example. A child could be getting married. It could be something like that, where there's something going on with a child that is a really big event that is causing great change in your life. One door closing, another door is opening. That's a lunar eclipse. I have a separate video for you on this lunar eclipse if you want to check it out, deeper dive. And what I love is that Virgo energy is simpatico with your energy. It trines your energy, and trines are the most flowing aspects. They are the wind at our back. There's nothing we have to do to receive the blessings of a trine. It just happens. And that is very, very supportive of you, beautiful Taurus. Then we have the Jupiter direct in Cancer transit, which is also very simpatico with your energy. It's a sextile, and sextiles are supportive as long as we take the initiative. It's happening, Jupiter moving into direct motion in your third house of moving and shaking your mindset, your communication, your local environment, your hood, your siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, all the people that you see regularly, people that you have quote unquote random conversations, which are not random, right? But those synchronicities that can happen when we're out and about and we have a conversation, or we, exchange a smile, or we exchange a word with someone, and something can come from that. Something, whether it's an aha moment or a relationship, can blossom. I mean, there's so many ways these things can happen. But also, Jupiter direct in your third house can just make you feel like things are finally moving again. There's energy is moving. It's a mercurial house. Mercury energy wants to be in motion, in motion. And when Jupiter is retrograde, we're looking backward. We're more internal. It doesn't feel like things are moving forward, because they're not when Jupiter is retrograde. So this could be a real breath of fresh air for you, Taurus. Also, some of you could have a blessing around themes such as a device or a car, a short trip, a wonderful weekend getaway, or learning and teaching and writing. For some of you, starting a website, revamping a website, becoming a freelancer if you're not already, starting your own business, doing something in which you are selling a product or a service, and things are really expanding in your life that way. Blessings, good luck, good fortune. We will have a new moon in Pisces, another very simpatico energy with your energy, Taurus. So you can see, I think this is going to be a beautiful month for you. You've got a lot of flowing energy that is just taking you down the river. It's not, there's not that resistance that we can have with other transits. And it's a new moon, so you're setting seeds of intention, planting seeds of intention, setting intentions, my words, in the house of your dreams and your fulfillment. Allies, friendships, your online presence if you have one, social media platforms, branding, promotion, if you're doing that with a product, if you have your own business. It's a new moon, so it's asking, what do you want in this area of your life? And it's the 11th house is a brand new cycle. The world is your oyster. Long-term financial gains also. Does this have to do with getting the word out about something that you want to be successful, like a business or a podcast or, you know, videos that you want to put up on YouTube, for example? Or does this have to do more with relationships, with community groups, with, you know, traveling for some of you? It is the World card in the tarot after all. So, like so many of these transits to different houses, there are a lot of different themes, but the question is, what does your heart most want, Taurus? Right now, what do you want to intend for this new moon? And then the sun is going to leave Pisces and it's going to enter Aries, the sign of fresh starts, new beginnings, take a risk, get messy, make mistakes. As I quote at the end of part 1 of this video, Ms. Frizzle, Magic School Bus. And the sun in Aries is going to be transiting your 12th house of the ethereal realms, the 12th house, not of this world, the mystical realms, your mystical self, your inner mystic, spiritual awakening, divine connection, channeling, spiritually based businesses, your own intuitive guidance, your own relationships with angels, guides, guardian helpers, and so on. This transit of the sun in Aries is important because it's activating Saturn and Neptune, and I speak about this at more length in part 1 of this video, and along with the dates of those transits. But Saturn and Neptune getting activated for the first time by personal planets means we are now in full forward motion with a dream that we are making real. And this is in your 12th house. So I think some of you want to do something spiritually based, or maybe you want to work in a hospital setting. Maybe you want to work in a prison setting. Maybe you want to, you know, work for the VA, for example. When we are helping people, especially that have been traumatized, that can be very 12th house kind of work. Or if we want to be tarot card readers, or we want to be astrologers, or we want to do something where we are in those more esoteric arts, that's also very 12th house. When we have astral travel experiences, when we have out-of-body experiences, also the 12th house. So with Saturn and Neptune transiting this house, like especially Neptune, you could have already had some really wild dreams, some really intense dreams, some great messages from your dreams, divine downloads, and then now the sun coming through here, you can really feel activated in whatever your heart really wants, Taurus, that is connected to the other realms, or bringing your own spiritual powers, giving them more expression, putting them to work in work, things you could get paid for example, or just experiencing them for you personally. You get the idea, Taurus. So I get excited when I think about that for you, because there's nothing like, you know, channeling divine love and divine guidance, and then being able to, or Reiki, for example, not just channeling energy and helping others heal through that. There's nothing, for me personally, and I think a lot of you might feel this way, there's nothing like being able to help others in that way. It's very rewarding. So, you know, that's not all of you by any means, but if any of what I just shared resonates, and we can do that in any career, right? We channel love and through our being in any capacity that we are working. We certainly don't have to be a quote unquote healer, astrologer, light worker, spiritual coach, or any of that to share that with others. So Taurus, on that note, I have been shuffling. Let us see what the cards have to say for your month of March. Taurus, your card is, you are cherished by the angels, protected by angels. For me, looking at this card, I think this is so 12th house. Protected by the angels. The angelic realm falls within the house of the other, not of this world, the other realms. What a beautiful message. You are protected, and not only that, you are cherished. You are cherished by the angels. Taurus, I just want to invite you to take a moment to take that in. That feeling of being cherished, that feeling of being protected by angels, that feeling of being deeply loved by your angelic presence. If you want to claim in the comments that you are cherished, you are protected, beautiful Taurus, let us know. I would love to hear. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining us for the March astrology video, your 12-sign monthly horoscopes. Thank you for taking a moment to give this video a thumbs up, a like, for sharing this video with other people you know who love astrology, for commenting, and for subscribing. And thank you for hyping this video as well. When you do any of these things, you send a message to the algorithm that then suggests this video to other astrology lovers. And in the process, you really support the channel. And I am incredibly grateful for your support. If you would like to do an astrology consultation or a clarity coaching session with me, go to my website, check out my offerings. The links to both my astrology and my coaching pages are in the description box below. For astrology readings, we can do a natal chart, a heart's desire, a life purpose, a relationship harmony, or for some of you who still want to do your 2026 year ahead readings, we could do that as well. I also offer 90-minute astrology consultations if you want to do a deeper dive and maybe get a little coaching on one or more areas of your life that are very important to you now. Go to my website, check out the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. And this should give you a sense of whether you feel inspired to book a session. As promised, I have a free gift for you, which is a soothing guided meditation to connect you to your spiritual guidance, to the unconditional love of the divine, where you will receive a gift as well from Spirit. If you'd like to get that free instant download gift, go to my website, subscribe for free to my weekly inspirational astrology updates, and you'll get that free instant download immediately. My beautiful friend, I love hearing your thoughts, your comments on the astrology of March as well. Let me know what you are thinking, feeling, or intuiting. And until my next video, I am sending you all my love.